Welcome back to our pregame show. We get ready for Thompson post 181 baseball today. They go up against Mayport Clifford Galesburg, getting back into sectional play today. We have an opportunity to catch up with Nate Soulis, the head coach of Thompson baseball. They've been on quite a run lately. Lots of high school success, lots of Legion success, trying to turn that back over into some success for the Legion baseball season coming up this year. So, Coach, let's talk about, first of all, going back to the high school season, 4 consecutive state championships. They say every team is a little bit different. So, tell us if winning these 4 state championships at the high school level was all the same, or if you've noticed some subtle differences in your teams and maybe what those differences were. How are these teams been a little bit different one to the next?
Yeah, I think this one that took a little bit of extra work to get there, battling through the region, having to come through the losers bracket, and then we had to battle through, a tough Northern Cass game in the semifinals there. So kind of a few different comebacks and a few different games, which we're I guess maybe not used to, but thrilling wins and good mental toughness by our guys to push through that. I think a lot of that has to do with the experience that we have of just being in those big game moments. Not that it's some kids might say, well, it's just another game. It's not just another game, but it is a game that they've played in. Going back a few years, obviously we have a pretty special senior class this year that all of them have been starting for 3 years. So they have that experience. The biggest thing difference wise this year, I would say, um, you know, our like I said, our ability to come back a little bit. Not that other groups didn't have it. We just had to see it a little bit more from this group in the postseason and in crunch time. I think there's a little bit more to do with our we had a lot of really good kids step up in big time moments, and our best players were our best players in the postseason, and that's what you have to be able to have postseason success. You look at what Tom Schumacher did this spring, what William Welke did. I can go on and on, but those two really stepped up in a big way for us in the postseason. But yeah, I guess you know what, we always like to key in on pitching and defense. I would say defense was extraordinary during the postseason. When you look at box scores, and not box scores aren't everything, of course, but when you look at that, at the end of the day, I think we made one error in the state tournament, and I know which error it was. Obviously, it sticks out, and it didn't cost us anything. So we didn't beat ourselves in any way. Our pitching was phenomenal in the state tournament when we needed it most, led by seniors again. So I think our ability 1 through 9 to hit the ball was it really developed throughout the year, and I really liked that as it came down to it. At the end of it, we were playing our best baseball. That's all you can ask for as a coach.
A couple of things out of that, coach. Number one, you mentioned pitching and defense, and your teams have been just built on that the last few years, and you've seen it on the field. You can see that that's priority number one. It takes a lot of buy in with young people this day and age to buy into pitching and defense when everybody wants to hit the baseball and score a lot of runs. But that's one thing you could talk about. The other thing that you could talk about is just the idea that when you say big games, they've been in big games that aren't baseball. They've been in some big games in football and boys basketball as well. All of those things help them handle those stressful moments of having to come back in games that you're maybe trailing or having to come back through a consolation bracket. It all matters, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? They've had success in some of those big games with baseball and basketball and football even, and they have also not had success in some of those. And even in baseball, we lost Legion championship last year. So I think it's a good life skill. Obviously, we talk about that with baseball all the time. I like to relate that a lot with life. But you know what? When you've failed before, and it only makes you want to get better. And obviously, when you win too, going back 4 years now when we won the first one, and you just want to keep achieving that feeling, and then you just kind of go into the process of what got us there. And yeah, I think you go back to the buy-in of pitching and defense. I think we really stress that at practice. Not that we don't stress hitting, but I know kids are going to get their swings in. So we when we're at practice, when coaches are involved heavily, it's a lot of pitching and defense, bullpens, obviously. Brian Overby's been helping us out the last few years with our pitchers, and he's done a phenomenal job, and we can't thank him enough for what he's done for our program. Simply because of just his ability to show up and be there for the kids and provide some entertainment while he's there. So the buy-in there has been great from the kids, and then we have a track record of, hey, this is what can happen, and going back to that process of if you can buy in and do this, good things can happen. It doesn't always happen, and obviously it takes, going back to all of this is a special senior class and supporting cast that we had down to an eighth grader. It takes a lot of special talent, and that's what we've been very fortunate to have, and it's no secret that we know that that's a big ingredient. So fortunate to work with the kids that we have in the past few years.
Coach, could you explain to us what the biggest challenge is of trying to convert high school baseball success over to Legion baseball success when you're going from spring to summer? I think sometimes with fans, it's lost on them. They just think it's one sport. And there are different challenges to it with schedules and players and that type of thing. Can you talk to us a bit about what the biggest challenge is in turning one into the other?
Yeah, I would say a couple things, and it's not anybody's fault. I would just say lack of structure. Kids are coming from all over the place, whether they're coming from working little league. We got a lot of kids that work our little league programs and help out with that, or they're working a job. We had guys working at the golf course last year and out in the sun all day. And then you got camps and you got weightlifting, and there's just a lot going on in a kid's life. In 2025 in the summer. So I would say that the biggest thing is you don't know what their day looked like before they even got to the field. 5 o'clock typically, spring, you're gonna see them throughout the day at school, obviously, and then you're gonna have practice at about 3:30, or you're on a bus at about 2:30. So that lack of structure is really um, and like I said, it's not it's just something you have to work through. We our typical Legion schedule right now is about Monday through Thursday, 4 days a week. One practice and a few games, depends on the week what we have. But the kids are busy doing other things too, and they want to. And you got to let them have time to be kids and enjoy their summer and enjoy doing some activities. So I would say that's one thing, and then obviously, like I said, the camps and the other activities and sports want to get their summer work in, and so trying to balance that. We've got a good relationship with all of our other coaches um, for Thompson, and it works out well for us. But I know that's it's a factor in making it a long summer. So just got to try to find that balance. I would say that's the biggest thing. We think we have that, and try to put as less stress on the kids as we can. But at the end of the day, it's baseball season too, and you signed up to play Legion baseball, so this is what's going to happen. And expecting and having those expectations, I think they've been good for us. So, but yeah, I would say it's definitely a different beast. It's a lot of the same kids. Obviously, for us, it's the same staff. Just depends on where you go. A lot of assistants in the spring will help and coach the Legion baseball team. Some other people have a totally different adult doing that. So it really just depends where you go. But yeah, definitely a different season for sure. But you know what? At the end of the day, you take a school out of there, and it's a lot of what kids enjoy doing, being active and playing sports.
You mentioned that it's a lot of the same kids. Well, for Thompson, there's a lot of different players that you can talk about in a baseball season throughout the course of the year that are going to make contributions. But I don't know if anybody has made the kind of contributions over a 4-year run that Thomas Schumacher has made for your team. We've seen him do some crazy things playing shortstop on that left hand side of the infield. We've seen him do some crazy things with the bat. He's a guy that when you have him, you can build around him. Certainly not taking anything away from the other players that you have on your team, but he's a standout guy for you.
Yeah, and you know what? He deserves everything. He's a 5-year starter for us. I remember when he was an eighth grader, we kind of just put him wherever. And you don't do that for an eighth grader. You just don't. And he could handle it. He had the mental ability to handle it. I would say that the greatest compliment that I can pay Tom as a baseball player is he plays the game the right way. Plays hard. He's going to do the right things for you on and off the field. He's been a captain for us for 3 years now, and So he's well respected by his teammates, obviously by his coaches, and people around the Thompson area know what he's about. And obviously, yeah, the on field success speaks for itself. He stepped up in a big way this year for us pitching. We weren't sure exactly how that was going to go. We knew he was a capable arm. We kind of thought now maybe he can get some relief innings and come kind of be a spot reliever for us. And plans kind of changed, and he ate up. I think he had the second or third most innings on the team, and did a phenomenal job for us and won us some big games that we had to have at the end of the year. So. Yeah, he's obviously signed to go to play at Minnesota Crookston, and they're excited about him there for all the right reasons. And he's shown that he's able to play at that level. He's hit a lot of tough pitching. So I've seen the state tournament as well, facing some key matchups there. And like I said at the first question, your best players got to be your best players at the end of the year, and that was him.
Let's talk about how your team might be different than it was during the high school season. With Legion Baseball, you can sometimes grab some super seniors. You might also lose some guys that were contributors but have other plans for the summer. So, were you able to retain most of your group, and did you add to that with any players that decided to come back for another year?
Yep, good majority of our spring roster is back. All the starters are back, and then we're super seniors this year. Braden Wolfgram got Braden back full time, and then Brody Gibson will be back. He's not back right now. He's got some obligations for his summer job that he's going to be working out, and that we've come to an agreement there. So we'll have those two back once the postseason starts for sure. So you look at two other kids that when they were playing, they were 4-year starters too. So there's a lot of experience, and there's a lot of arms. So we have a lot of options there, which is nice. And then you look at the I mean, I always go to the defensive side of things, what works best defensively, and then the rest always kind of works itself out. So when you look at Braden possibly coming back to whether it's third base, obviously to eat up a lot of innings for us back on the mound as our ace, or catch at the end of the year. We'll see what happens, but he can do a variety of different things. And obviously Brody's in the outfield, and for those who have seen Brody play, that not a lot is going to drop out there with him. And then you couple that with a lot of the guys that we had success for the spring season, and look what we could possibly have with an outfield there. And we're obviously very fortunate, and pretty excited about the possibility of that. So yeah, we got two kids coming back, super seniors, that we're excited to have back. And I think obviously Braden played at Concordia, and had a good spring season there for them and contributing. And you can tell Brody's itching to get back. He missed not didn't do it. He went to NDSU, and obviously just a full-time student, and you can tell he's got an itch to get back as well. So we're excited to have them back and contributing. And just been an overall fun. We're about 2 weeks into it now. We took the first week off. And so yeah, we're full swing in Allegiant season. It's fun to come to the field every day.
So it means obviously that you must have some pretty high expectations for this year, but let's also talk about the competition that you're up against. You're diving right into it this week. You've got Mayport, you've got Park River. We could talk about tonight's competition, and we'll talk again on Thursday about another team that was in the state tournament. But Mayport's one of those teams that always seems to want to hunt you down throughout the course of the year. It's a big game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, every time you get into, I mean, it's District 6, but anytime you get into Region 2, District 6 play, all the teams there's no secrets. So, you throw that out the window, and kids want to go out there and compete. And then you throw that wrinkle in into summer, and they have, I think, a returner or two that they'll contribute for them. And so that makes it exciting. And they're a young team, but I think they got some talent there, and they've played a lot of games already from what I've seen. So, we got maybe a little bit more rust than they do, but they've played plenty, and they're getting that experience. And you just can't teach experience, and that's what I go back to with a lot of with our kids. And when we have young guys having to step up, they just need to play. So maybe I was having a lot of guys they're just needing to play, and they're getting a lot of games in there. And I know they had some success last weekend in the Montgomery tournament. So, yeah, we're excited for that. It's always fun when they come to town, and usually travel pretty well with parents and everything like that. So it's usually a well attended game. And like I said, anytime you get into that region or district play. Um, with Mayville, HCV, Hat Northwood, when you're a half hour away from everybody, you develop a little bit of a rivalry there, and you want to beat those guys. So yeah, it should be a fun game, and looking forward to it.
And what have you talked about as far as expectations for this team this year? Have you come together and talked about goals, or are you just going to leave that quiet until we get to the end of the season?
We do that a lot in the spring, and then summer gets around. Like I said, you get so many schedules. It's just like you try to have a meeting and you got to clear it with this year we got to clear it with about 18 guys. So usually it doesn't work out for a guy or two, so you just push it back. But um, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything, that nobody doesn't know. I mean, we know what we got coming back. We know the experience that we've had with this senior group. And so, yeah, I don't think it's a secret what our expectations are. Obviously, you got to get through the district first, and that's where it starts. We don't start talking about state championships until we get through a tough district. And, we don't want to look too far ahead because then something might happen. So, first of all, is enjoy their summer, and then let's play some baseball on the weekdays, and then let's get to postseason time, and then like I said, we have two kids coming back, so there's and we already had a full nine, obviously, that we were pretty confident in. So we got a lot of options, and it's a good competition for us to have internally, um, and for kids to be able to push each other in the right way. So we got to figure some things out that way with the regular season, and get guys just back into the swing of things, um, and get some young guys at some games. Those second games are really valuable for us this year with getting some young guys in. So that's kind of our main goal right now. And then once the postseason time comes, we usually have a meeting or two to really discuss, what A we want to get done, and B how do we get it done, by a few simple points. When you've been around a group for so long, obviously the kids that are coming back started for 4 years. These seniors have started for three. You know what? There's like I said, there's no secrets from other teams. There's no secrets from our staff, from our players. Everybody's kind of been around each other. That we know what to expect from one another, and that's always a nice expectation to have as well.